Partly cloudy, 41 downtown at the Arch. I'm Doug McKelvin. Two big airlines expected to merge, creating the biggest possible airline in the world. Brett Bloom's looking into how that could affect Lambert and your travels as well.
Is Missouri close to shedding its image as the puppy mill capital? I'm Megan Lynch with details.
Hey, not bad today. Sunshine with some clouds and a high of 54. The complete forecast coming up in 10 minutes. And the Blues finally get it back on track. Tom Ackerman will have sports in 15 minutes for you here on Total Information AM.
The voice of St. Louis. News Radio 1120 KMOX. KMOX HD St. Louis. And 102.5 KEZK HD3 St. Louis.
CBS News, I'm Frank Sedapane. He was the feel-good. S&P futures are down 5.5 points. This is CBS News.
KMOX News Time is 6:04. I'm Debbie Monterey, and the news is sponsored by Edwards Carpet.
I'm Doug McKelvin. Partly cloudy and 41 now downtown at the Arch.
Prepping for takeoff this morning, a merger that will create the world's largest air carrier. KMOX's Brett Bloom is in the KMOX newsroom with a look at what this will mean for local air travelers.
Lambert Airport Director Rhonda Homdenberg tells me she anticipates very little impact on flights in and out of St. Louis, at least initially, since there's a lack of market overlap between American and U.S. Airways.
And so for American, they serve 6 markets out of St. Louis. For U.S. Air, they serve 4 markets out of St. Louis. None of those are overlap markets, so that's a good thing.
Right now, the two airlines combined have about 60 flights a day in and out of Lambert. Brett Bloom, News Radio 1120, KMOX.
Well, one plane is at the center of controversy at the Missouri Capitol, where the state's top cop gets a grilling from a Senate committee for his decision to buy the $6 million aircraft without bids. That plane is now being used by the governor.
The harshest criticism came from Kansas City area Republican Ryan Silvey. He attacked the plane's fancy furnishings.
I was just going to ask you, when we're transporting murderers and high-risk prisoners, is it necessary for leather seats and mahogany wood?
The Highway Patrol Superintendent responded that the new plane frees up other aircraft that is used for police work. The committee hearing started just as the governor was returning on the plane for trips to southern Missouri. From the state capitol, I'm Phil Brooks, News Radio 1120, KMOX.
If you're listening to us in the car right now, you might want to fasten your seatbelt. State Senator Joe Keaveney is trying for a 4th straight year to raise the fines for people caught not wearing seatbelts from $10 to $50.
I'm not trying to raise revenue with it. I'm just trying to, for a teenager, that extra $40 is probably a lot of money. So we're just trying to get their attention, buckle up.
Keaveney said that his measure was well received during a hearing Wednesday, and the chair of the Senate Transportation Committee is pledging to send it on to the full Senate.
2 years ago, images of matted and diseased dogs in tiny wire cages helped spur changes in Missouri law.
Dog breeders were asked to sit up and heed new commands about how they manage their kennels. In a KMOX follow-up, Megan Lynch asked whether it's helping the state shed its image as the puppy mill capital.
More than half of the commercial dog breeders in the state of Missouri have closed up shop. Bob Baker, executive director of the Missouri Alliance for Animal Legislation, says many that remain have cut down on the number of dogs they own to comply. Baker credits stepped-up prosecution by the Attorney General for putting the worst offenders out of business, and he tells KMOX there have been significant changes in the Department of Agriculture with a tripling of inspectors.
They can always have more inspections and more follow-up and oversight. However, we have seen a dramatic increase.
Breeders say the new rules have hurt the industry and have filed suit. Megan Lynch, News Radio 1120, KMOX.
You can get more on this story on KMOX.com.
Miners arrested after a sit-down protest at Peabody Energy headquarters. That story straight ahead. KMOX News Time, 6:07.
Hey, Cardinals fans, this is Kevin Wheeler. I'm down here in Jupiter so that I can
Partly cloudy, 41 downtown at the Arch at 6:09 as the news continues. 10 union miners arrested at a sit-down protest at Peabody Energy headquarters here. And now aging miners are talking about their health care problems they believe the coal giant is trying to avoid paying for.
What happened to the money that should have been set aside for the health care and for your pensions? It went to the $1 million salaries.
Angry speeches from the United Mine Workers of America, and in the crowd, retired Peabody miner John Hubble of Indiana says he has reason to be angry. His health care was transferred to Patriot Coal, and it went bankrupt.
I've got degenerative disc disease in my back, and they just last month took my pain medication away from me.
Who did?
Peabody.
Peabody spokesman Vic Schweck.
I think people who know Peabody in the community know us as a company that lives up to its obligations.
The miners' health care claims are now before a U.S. bankruptcy court here. Kevin Killeen, News Radio 1120, KMOX.
The St. Louis Cardinals will make what they call a major tenant announcement this afternoon regarding Ballpark Village. All indications are that it will be a PBR Cowboy Bar, standing for Professional Bull Riding.
KMOX traffic and weather together. Now, this update from KMOX Airborne 1.
Well, we're in pretty good shape to start it off this morning around most of the area. However, if you are out in the Opus County so far, where else are we looking at delays or any troubles yet this morning, Scott?
Well, big delays further south near Valley Mines, and overnight they're in the process of moving that out of the way. I'm Scott Mercado in Airborne 2.
Breezy and mild today, sun mixing with some clouds, a high getting up to 54, then rather cloudy tonight, the low down to... For a complete and detailed forecast, go to KMOX.com/weather. I'm meteorologist Steve DeVore, the voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
Partly cloudy and 41 now downtown at the Arch.
I'm Tom Ackerman at the KMOX Sports Desk. Why not Detroit? That's where the Blues found a spark, picked up a win in overtime. We'll have sports in 3 minutes.
The news continues on KMOX. It is 6:12, nearly 3 dozen arrests and no more bloodshed. That's the result of the first week of hotspot policing in North St. Louis's troubled College Hill neighborhood.
This is Brian Kelly in the newsroom. And the week before police flooded the neighborhood with 80 officers operating out of a mobile command post, there were 4 shootings, including 3 murders. But the officers aren't taking all the credit for the turnaround. Some of that is going to the residents who, after being reminded about the Crime Stoppers hotline, are calling in more anonymous tips.
They got information from the police department. They were handing out flyers. They were going door to door. So it was impressive to have them out there and bringing awareness to the program and to the crime in the area.
Crime Stoppers Executive Director Elisa Pashota says it's important that residents of crime-ridden neighborhoods know they can tip off police without putting their own lives in danger. Live in the newsroom, Brian Kelly, News Radio 1120, KMOX.
This is John Butler. A body in a ditch discovered by a jogger on Beltline Road in Collinsville last night. Police Major Tom Capitelli says the man was fully clothed and lying face down.
We have tentatively identified the victim. We're not releasing the name until we're confident. We have no suspects, nor do we have a manner or cause of death at this time yet.
Should daylight saving time become permanent in Missouri? Northwest Missouri Republican Representative Dallas Johnson thinks so.
When 20 states in this country join the Daylight Savings Elimination Pact, we will switch to daylight savings for the last time, and then daylight savings will become the new Central Standard Time.
He says it would help businesses, especially outdoor businesses. Currently, there are no states that have made daylight saving time permanent, but 2 states, Arizona and Hawaii, have eliminated it.
I'm Michael Calhoun. Sunset Hills is the latest community in St. Louis County to consider what to do with all of its deer. Sharpshooting, bow hunting, sterilization are all on the table, but no decisions will be made until a survey of the population is complete.
From the KMOX Heisey Advisory Group Business Desk, financial security in any economy, new foreclosure statistics out today show if you live in Illinois, it'll take the bank more than twice as long to foreclose on your home than if you live in Missouri. On average in Illinois, 697 days compared to 229 in Missouri.
6:14 now on The Voice of St. Louis.
KMOX News Time is 6:15. Tom Ackerman joins us in Studio B. And Blues Nation last night, Tom Ackerman letting out a whoop and then a sigh of relief. Or maybe in the reverse order, I'm not sure.
No, totally. Their rookie goaltender, Jake Allen, made his first NHL start. He rallied after falling behind 2-0. There's one sigh of relief. The Blues and Red Wings went into overtime. Chris Kerber and Kelly Chase had the call in KMOX.
Save, Steve! They score! You can bring out the Zamboni! The Blues have won in overtime in Detroit as Alex Steen puts in a rebound created on a hard play by Jackman. The Blues have won tonight.
That snaps a 5-game losing skid for them. It's been a rough stretch for the Blues. They win at 4-3 in overtime in Detroit. SEC road games have been tough to come by for Missouri. They couldn't get a win until last night, and they walloped Mississippi State. 78-36. Illinois won at home over Purdue, 79-59. Our Cardinals coverage in Jupiter, Florida, sponsored by R-Town Roofing and Contracting. We are your hometown roofer. Kevin Wheeler standing by at Roger Dean Stadium.
Tom, the Cardinals need to find a new starting pitcher in the absence of Chris Carpenter, but they also need to find another vocal presence in the clubhouse, somebody who can authoritatively lay down the law when necessary, and that's something that Mike Matheny spoke about yesterday.
But leadership has a lot of different forms, but there is no question, and we've talked about it as a group and individually, that There are some things that Carp was not afraid to stand up and say, that we've got to have other guys in that clubhouse, because I can stand up here and talk until I'm purple, and eventually I'm going to sound like a drum. And we certainly have to have some guys in that clubhouse that are not afraid to speak up.
Reporting from Roger Dean Stadium in Jupiter, Florida, Kevin Wheeler, KMOX Sports.
And with reports at 15 and 45 past the hour, I'm Tom Ackerman on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
When you leave a job, you want to take everything that's yours.
Traffic and weather update in just about 60 seconds, but it's 6:19. Let's chat with Steve Potusk of MarketWatch. The report is sponsored by Purcell and Amon Elder Law Attorneys. Looks like home foreclosures are finally heading in the proper direction.
You got that right, Doug. The number of U.S. properties with foreclosure filings fell 28% in January from a year ago. In Missouri, foreclosure activity was down 31%. In Illinois, it fell a more modest 2%. Merger news, well, not helping stock futures. S&P futures down 6, NASDAQ down 11, Dow futures are down 64 points. For more business news, go to KMOX.com. I'm Steve Potusk for MarketWatch.com.
Not a bad start to the day. Hopefully that's the case on the roads. We'll get the weather update in just a second, but Captain Roger Brand is in Airborne 1.
Well, hopefully that's the case, Debbie. If you come across a traffic trouble spot, though, of course.
I'm Scott Mercado in Airborne 2.
Sunshine mixing with clouds today. Breezy, mild. 54 the high. Rather cloudy tonight, a low right at the freezing mark. Turning out partly sunny, colder tomorrow. Breezy in the afternoon and a high of 37. Currently it's partly cloudy and 41 downtown at the Arch.
The news continues on KMOX at 6:22.
Pistorius is going to have to do something brilliant. Inside him, Shirley goes down. Here comes Pistorius. He'll still win it. He'll still win it at 11.18.
Oscar Pistorius, the Olympic sprinter and double amputee known as Blade Runner, is under arrest after a woman was shot dead in his home in South Africa. Reporter Sarah Carter is in Johannesburg.
A few of Oscar's friends who spoke off the record, they say that they believe Oscar mistook his girlfriend for an intruder. She was shot 4 times in the head and the arm.
More positive news, Olympic news here.
I'm Michael Calhoun. Swimming's biggest stars could have to swim through St. Louis to get to the Rio 2016 Olympic Games. St. Louis, one of 5 finalists to hold the Olympic swimming trials at the Edward Jones Dome.
This is Fred Bottomer. Parents are being warned to be on the lookout for a strange drink combination that some in Hollywood are abusing, called Scissorp. Justin Bieber's been photographed with the drink but denies using it. Scissorp's a combination of cough medicine with codeine mixed with fruit-flavored soda and a Jolly Rancher. Julie Weber at the Missouri Poison Center says it can give a serious narcotic high that could be dangerous. Fred Bottomer, News Radio 1120 KMOX.
I'm Bill Reeker. Law enforcement is learning much more about how to handle an active shooter situation. St. Louis County Police Chief Tim Fitch, along with chiefs and sheriffs around the nation, attended a forum on the topic in Washington, D.C.
And the decade-long feud between St. Stanislaus Kostka Church and the Archdiocese of St. Louis is over. That story is coming up.
Total Information AM on KMOX.
There is a place that is truly
where St. Louis listens. From the Classic Airfare Studios, this is KMOX.
Well, that feud between St. Stanislaus Kostka and the Archdiocese of St. Louis is over. We've got the story in 5 minutes. It's 6:25.
The Osgood File, sponsored in part by Sage. The Osgood File. This is Charles Osgood on the CBS Radio Network.
6:28 now on Total Information AM.
KMOX News Time is now 6:30. I'm Debbie Monterey, and the news is sponsored by Golden Oak Lending.
I'm Doug McKelvin, partly cloudy, 41 downtown at the Arch. It's a Valentine's Day murder in South Africa, and you'll find out what that's all about in less than 60 seconds.
Let's find out right now how your ride in is looking. Captain Roger Brand's in Airborne 1.
Well, if you're on eastbound 64, it's doing okay from 94.
Pass. I'm Scott Mercado in Airborne 2.
Take a look at that KMOX forecast. Sunshine mixing with clouds today. Breezy, mild, a high 54. Rather cloudy tonight, low 32. Turning out partly and 41 downtown at the Arch. At 6:31 here on The Voice of St. Louis.
CBS News Update, I'm Dave Barrett. He captivated fans who watched him run on the CBS News Update. I'm Dave Barrett.
KMOX News Time is 6:32. Earlier this week, they watched as their mother was stabbed to death by her ex-boyfriend in their Jennings home. This morning, a clinical psychologist talks about what it'll take for the 8- and 9-year-old boys to deal with that tragedy.
Barnes Jewish Hospital's Dr. Andy Mozender tells KMOX it's vital that those children and others who experience such an ordeal get professional help. She says it's important that the adults who talk with the children let the children dictate what they want to talk about.
Not to force too much information on them that they may not want. but also to reassure them as of their safety and to let them know that whatever they feel is okay.
Lozender says young children who witness such a horror will never forget it, but hopefully they'll get the help they need to live as normal a life as possible.
All right, I got a whole bunch of people shot out here. No rescue. Confirm that the command post is on the south side of the theaters.
Even though a mass shooting incident is often over before police arrive, police are learning new techniques.
And we basically tell our officers, expect a fight. If you get there and this is still going on, expect to have a fight.
St. Louis County Police Chief Tim Fitch attended a forum on the topic in Washington, D.C., along with chiefs from around the nation. The message to schools, says Chief Fitch, was out with the old advice, get under desks and lock doors. Now,
get out of the building, get out the windows, however you can get out of the scene.
And if that's not possible,
techniques such as throwing trash cans at the assailant, throwing chairs, throwing backpacks, trying to distract the shooter.
Because of the Aurora, Colorado theater shootings, he says police around the country are beginning to carry trauma kits because EMS personnel won't go into an active shooter situation. Bill Reeker, News Radio 1120, KMOX.
You can read more on what the chief learned right now at KMOX.com.
You don't often hear Republicans giving President Obama credit for improving the economy, but Missouri Senator Roy Blunt says the president has been the greatest in history at spurring gun and ammunition sales.
Guns and ammunition are selling at a rate that I think exceeds anything in past years.
And as gun control discussions continue in Washington, Blunt says he'd like to see more mental health information included in background checks.
More information about people who have had mental health problems involving criminal or behavior or criminal behavior or concerned behavior that could become criminal behavior.
Blunt doesn't favor background checks that would impact neighbors trading shotguns or a grandfather giving a .22 to a grandson for Christmas.
Why is the bishop for many Metro East Catholics upset with the Illinois Senate? You'll find out in 60 seconds. It's 6:35 on Total Information AM.
Hi, this is Charlie Brennan. Later today, Linda Blair of The Exorcist.
7 gold.
KMOX News Time is 6:36. The bishop for many Metro East Catholics upset with the timing of today's same-sex marriage vote in the Illinois Senate. KMOX religion editor Fred Bottomer begins our coverage.
The president of the Illinois State Senate has unfortunately chosen Valentine's Day and what I would call kind of a syrupy sentimentality to promote same-sex marriage.
The head of the Springfield Catholic Diocese is Bishop Thomas Paprocki.
The bigger picture, the bigger question really is the whole issue of the attempted redefinition of marriage here. You know, marriage is an institution that was designed by God.
Fred Bottomer, News Radio 1120 KMOX.
I'm Alex Degman in Springfield. Same-sex marriage proponents view the issue as one of equality. Randy Hannig, Public Policy Director for Equality Illinois, says it's true that 80% of the nation still outlaws same-sex marriage, but that will change.
Public opinion was much different back then. Even in the last 4 to 5 years, we've seen a huge shift in public opinion.
Both Illinois chambers have a Democrat supermajority, but same-sex issues traditionally have a tougher time in the more conservative House.
Over the decade-long feud between St. Stanislaus Kostka Church and the Archdiocese of St. Louis, St. Stan's gets to keep its property, but must steer clear of holding itself as part of the Roman Catholic Church.
It changes nothing in the way we live, in the way we pray, in the way we do our quote-unquote business, so that we will continue to be a happy Catholic parish.
Father Merrick Bozick of St. Stanislaus says it's a relief to put the matter to bed. A St. Louis Circuit Court judge ruled last year against the Archdiocese, which now promises to drop its appeal.
We'll have traffic and weather together coming your way in just 2 minutes. KMOX News Time is 6:38.
Just $8.95. Head into Sevens every day during
3600.
KMOX traffic and weather together. Now, this update from KMOX Airborne 1.
Hey, looking at eastbound Highway 70 right now. The sun
during the investigation. I'm Scott Mercado in Airborne 2.
Let's get a look at our forecast on this Valentine's Day as we head towards the weekend. Our meteorologist this morning is Dean DeVore.
Good morning, Debbie. I'm meteorologist Dean DeVore on the Voice of St. Louis, KMOX.
I'm Tom Ackerman at the KMOX Sports Desk. What a debut for Blues goaltender Jake Allen. The rookie gets the win. We'll tell you about it in 2 minutes.
Looks like we've got a merger between American Airlines and U.S. Airways. That story coming up in about 5 minutes. Right now at 6:45, here's our sports director, Tom Ackerman.
Doug, the Blues get it done in Detroit.
Jackman shoots, save, Steve, they score!
78-36. First SEC road win for the Tigers. Illinois knocks off Purdue 79-59 in Champaign. I'm Tom Ackerman on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
KMOX News Time is 6:48.
TV Guide's Matt Roush joins us now for some entertainment buzz, and I always like to say that Matt watches the terrible television, so you don't have to. There is TV Guide's Matt Roush joining us on Total Information AM.
Right now, let's get you caught up.
I'm Scott Mercado in Airborne 2.
Sunshine mixing with clouds today. Breezy, mild, 54 the high. Rather cloudy tonight, a low 32. Then turning out partly sunny and colder tomorrow. Breezy in the afternoon with a high of 37. It's partly cloudy and 41 downtown at the Arch.
The news continues on KMOX. It is 6:51. The CEOs for American Airlines and United Airways coming together this morning to announce the latest round in a series of mega airline mergers. But as CBS's Susan McGinnis reports, it could mean higher fares for consumers.
If the deal flies, the world's four biggest airlines would control nearly 70% of all air traffic. Experts say ticket prices could take off as a result.
What will the impact be on St. Louis's Lambert Airport? KMOX's Brett Bloom's in the newsroom with a quick overview.
Lambert Airport Director Rhonda Homnebergy says even though American currently serves 6 markets locally, while U.S. Airways connects to 4 other cities, there's no overlap between them, so expect little initial impact.
You do have to look on a longer-term view what the overall strategy of the airline will be.
Much more on that at the top of the hour.
This is John Butler live in the newsroom. An off-duty police officer out for a jog last night came across a man's body in a drainage ditch on Beltline Road in Collinsville. Cause of death suspicious. Identification being withheld at this time. Revved up by union speakers, a crowd of 1,000 United Mine workers cheered as some 10 miners were arrested outside Peabody headquarters in downtown St. Louis. Union claims the coal giant conspired to evade its health care obligations to aging miners. We'll tell you some of their stories this morning.
All those in favor will signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, say no.
Republicans shouting down Democrats on voter ID legislation. The measure was approved by the Missouri House late Wednesday. It needs one more vote before it moves to the Senate. If it clears both houses, it will be up to the voters to approve a constitutional amendment.
I'm Megan Lynch. Images of matted and diseased dogs in tiny wire cages helped force changes in Missouri dog breeding laws nearly 2 years ago. What's happened since? Critics say it's hurt the industry, but animal welfare advocates say it's cleaning up the image of the puppy mill capital.
6:53 now on Total Information AM.
News, traffic, weather, sports, business. Always KMOX.
We'll get your birthdays in just a minute here, but let's get you updated on business news sponsored by Stiefel Nicholas. Anheuser-Busch InBev making changes to the terms of its proposed $20 billion purchase of Mexican brewer Grupo Modelo in an attempt to push through a deal that federal regulators say would kill competition. Bud and Corona control about 46% of annual U.S. sales. World stock markets moved cautiously higher Thursday despite some downbeat news from Europe's 2 biggest economies. Official figures showed Germany's economy shrank in the fourth quarter of 2012, while economic growth ground to a halt in France. 4 people close to the situation say American Airlines and U.S. Airways have agreed to a merger that'll create the world's biggest airline. We'll continue to cover that story for you all morning. The number of U.S. homes entering foreclosure fell in January. Foreclosure listing firm RealtyTrack says the 11% drop from December was the result of state laws aimed at stemming foreclosures that went into effect in California at the beginning of the year. And Whole Foods is announcing that it will open that $70 million City Walk apartment development and new Whole Foods store in the Central West End without giving an agreement that the unions here had hoped for.
It's my birthday!
Happy birthday, of course!
Hey! Happy birthday!
Happy birthday, you!
Well, here it is, Valentine's Day. And celebrating, a fellow who used to be on this radio station every once in a while, Hugh Downs. He's 92 today. Magician Teller of Penn and Teller fame is 65, and Rob Thomas of Matchbox 20 is 41.
Local celebrity birthdays include a happy 13th to Jared Westrick from his 7th grade PSR class. Happy 4th to Libby O'Donnell from Grandma and Poppy. Maggie Moran, happy 17th from Grandpa Terry and G. Jeannie. Marcella Heidi, formerly of New Baden, turns 103 today and is listening this morning. And happy birthday to our very own sales guru, Joe Donnellan.
This is the best birthday ever.
KMOX News Time is 6:56. So, Debbie, you remember we had the story the other day out of, I think it was Montana, about the zombie warnings that were being broadcasted. Well, it's happened in California, Michigan, Montana, and New Mexico.
And not everyone's amused.
No, the Federal Communications Commission, who have absolutely no sense of humor at all when it comes to things like this. They're saying to the stations, well, you probably ought to reset your passwords and take, what do you want to bet for a lot of those stations? The password is password.
Or maybe password 1.
That would be a good one, too. Or 1 password 1.
Or 1, 2, 3, 4.
I guess the moral of the story is for anybody, make sure you have a password that nobody else is going to guess. Otherwise, you might have a zombie warning showing up on your broadcast station.
If someone's tweeting out a zombie warning on your account, change your password. Let's see. I don't know if there is a zombie outbreak happening on the roadways or what the issues may be. So that's why we have our very own Captain Roger Brand joining us from Airborne 1.
Yeah, that new show, The Driving Dead. Everything's in pretty good shape around the area, really, for the most part. Debbie, just volume building. And, of course, we have a lot of that. The sun's popping up, and we're already bogged down on eastbound Highway 70, backups west of 94 to the Blanchette Bridge. Westbound 270 through Madison and North St. Louis counties, though, still on the go. No delays there. 64 now, the sun's starting to get in your eyes. Look for a little slowdown at Clarkson, but otherwise a triple free front east of there. And we had a minor accident on the ramp south 270 to west 64. What about other stuff, Scott?
Oh, no, slowdowns on eastbound 54 from Eureka all the way to Hampton and beyond to the 55 merge. Westbound 5570 slow to the Poplar right now from about the King Split. The King Bridge backed up past the railroad overpass. Northbound 270 slow from Doherty Ferry to Manchester Road, and northbound 55 on the go from Arnold to 255. I'm Scott Percato in Airborne 2.
Partly cloudy, 41 downtown at the Arch. I'm Doug McKelvin. 2 big airlines coming together to create the largest in the world. How will it affect you the next time you fly out of Lambert?
I'm Debbie Monterey.
Whole Foods Market has officially signed a lease to open a store in the city. I'm Michael Calhoun with the latest.
Breezy, mild with a high of 54. The complete forecast in 10 minutes.
I'm Tom Ackerman. What a win for the Blues in Detroit. And the Cardinals call a press conference. We are anticipating contract extensions for not only Mike Matheny, but John Mozeliak. And we'll have more in sports in 15 minutes.
What's the latest on that plant across the river that wants to process Asian carp? We'll have an update.
And evidence in crime-ridden neighborhoods. Silence is golden. Anonymous tips can help solve crimes. Brian Kelly has the live update after CBS at 7.
Your home for Blues hockey. News Radio 1120 KMOX. KMOX HD St. Louis. And 102.5 KEZK HD3 St. Louis.
Olympic star charged with murder.
This isn't so much a whodunit as a what happened.